Today is August 23rd, 2023. My name is Karen Neurohr. I am a professor at the Oklahoma State University Library in Stillwater, and I work in the Oklahoma Oral History Research Program. I am with Patty Wright at her home in Edmond, Oklahoma. Thank you for participating in the interview today, Patty.
You're welcome.
We are here today to talk about Grandparent University, an initiative that was planned by the OSU Alumni Association in 2002 and launched in 2003. So this year marks the 21st anniversary year for Grandparent University. Grandparent University is often shortened to GPU, so Patty and I may call it GPU during the interview. For the record, I've known Patty since 1984 when my husband and our two kids moved to Poto, Oklahoma, where Patty and her family lived at the time. Patty, I don't remember the year, but I ran into you on campus one summer and you were with one of your grandkids at Grandparent University, and this was the first time that I had heard of the program. I believe you had been to the swimming pool at the Colvin Center, so it probably was on a Wednesday. Are there more people that you have told about Grandparent University?
Oh, I've told many people about Grandparent University. I work for Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service, and yeah, I've told lots of people about Grandparent University, but I was also told about Grandparent University from another OSU graduate, Pam Holton.
Okay, so before we get into some more questions about GPU, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I was born in Cameron, Oklahoma a long time ago and moved to Poto when I was 9 and graduated from Poto High School. I attended 1 year of Poto Junior College, and then I went to OSU and graduated from OSU. And then I went to work for OSU Cooperative Extension Service and met my husband, and we dated 6 weeks. And he graduated from Tulsa University, although he had started OSU at OSU. And then we moved from Tulsa to El Paso to Dallas to Kansas City to Chicago. And then decided, my husband said the kids were talking funny. So we moved back to Poto in 1976. And we lived in the house before I moved here for 43 years in Poto. And so anyway, we were married 57 years, and my husband passed away a year ago in February.
And how many kids do you have?
I have 2 sons, and Todd, and he graduated from OSU. And I was trying to think, he got his master's there. He minored in history and Japanese, but he had got his master's in something he can make a living in with business. And then my other son, Matt, graduated from OSU also, and they both have their degrees from there. And I have 6 grandchildren. Each one has 3 children.
Okay. Now you said Pam Holton is the person that first told you about Grandparent University, yes. And Pam is an alumni.
Yes.
And Pam and Steve also lived at Poto.
Yep.
So what do you recall about hearing about it from her?
Well, I didn't know what she was talking about, even though I was employed actually by OSU with OSU Extension. I had never heard of it. And she said, and she was wanting somebody to go that she knew because she was just taking her grandkids and she didn't know anybody there. And so she asked me, and I said, well, okay, let me look it up. And so it was my first experience. And then it took me 1 year and I was hooked. I wanted to go every year, and I've taken now all 6 of my grandchildren there.
How many years have you participated?
I have attended 13 sessions, and because of a health reason of my husband, I missed 1, and then during COVID, I missed 1. So the last session I went to was 2022. Didn't go this year because my son and his family all went on a 3-week vacation to national parks. So I had to miss this year, but I still have 1 granddaughter that she's got 3 more years of eligibility, and she is ready to go again next year.
Good. Okay, so tell me about your grandkids, their names.
Okay, Katie's, this is what's unique. I've taken all 6 of the grandchildren. The first 3 that I took now attended OU, or 4 I took attended OU.
They didn't come to OSU.
They did not come to OSU, and I like to mention that to them. I have Charlie, who has already told me, and Vivi, pistols firing. We're going to OSU, Nina. But my oldest grandson is at OSU right now as a sophomore, majoring in architecture. So I finally got one at OSU. But my 3 oldest granddaughters all went to OU.
All went to OU. Okay.
Army.
I see that you have your lanyard, name badges, and your T-shirts out, and you said you found all of them, right?
I did. I keep them in a special place here in the house.
Well, let's just go through those, and we'll just kind of work through those, and you can tell me what you remember about that particular session and which grandkid you took, and that kind of thing. So that's the first year that you went, and what year was that?
2009, and I took my oldest. She was only eligible to go 1 year because the dates at that time I think were 8 to 15, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was 14.
Is it 14?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then they lowered it.
And this was to what, 7 to 13?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I was trying to think. Anyway, I took Katie, my oldest. Neither one of us knew what to expect.
Uh-huh.
And we went over the majors, and I had no idea what classes were like or anything else. But we decided to go to. Here's her. This is my name tag and our meal ticket, and this is our first shirt that we got. And what I try to do when I go each year, I try to wear one of the old shirts. And anyway. So she majored in insects, and she said, I did it because I'm scared to death of spiders and all of those. And so she said, I took that for a reason, and she loved it. That is the most wonderful I don't remember the lady's name, but I've gone to about 5 of her sessions, but she always wears the spider hat at the graduation. She is phenomenal. But this is Katie, and so after she graduated.
Okay, hold that up just a minute longer there. Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right.
And so then she didn't get to go anymore after that one. The next year, I took 2 granddaughters, and my Maddie and Sydney, and they majored in art. They were older teenagers, and they had a good time. They really, really had a good time being together, and they majored in art. And then they wrote on my shirt.
Oh,
I love you, Nina. I love you best. You're I'm your favorite granddaughter. So they wrote all over my shirt. But they were fun to be with because they got to see where their dad was in a fraternity house and all this sort of stuff. And in the group picture, they were doing pistol firing, real posed. But they were so much fun to take. And then the next year, I took my oldest grandson, who we refer to as the Prince. Now, I have other grandsons since then, but this was the first grandson, and that was Garrett. And
he 2011, is that the year we're
2011.
in? Mm-hmm.
And he majored in architecture.
Oh.
And he really, now, architecture was not my favorite class that I took, not for any other reason except I couldn't really make a design, but he did. He loved it. And in fact, he is at OSU right now majoring in architecture as a sophomore. So I think it rubbed off on him maybe.
Oh, good.
But that was his first of 5 years that we went to Grandparent University. And the next year, I have to look at my list here, he took the insects. And this is the only shirt that we have that's a different color. All the rest of them stayed the bright orange.
Mm-hmm.
And so he took that year, as I said, insects, and he enjoyed that one also.
What do you remember about being in that the second time?
Well, I'll tell you back on the first one. Katie is my one that went first and majored in insects. Is a really bright young lady. And at the very end, if you answer the questions right, you get a book or something. I forgot what it was. And she was really wanting it. Well, I talked him into doing a wrong answer. So we didn't win the contest, and I really got a dirty look from her. I do remember that. And Garrett participated, but he's quiet. And then, but he enjoyed that too. And you know, the spiders, they were ready to do anything they offered. The tarantulas that they let get on their hands and that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then the 2013, the third time that Garrett went, we majored in rocketry. And he had so much fun, you know, designing the rocket and everything. And then we took it out and they flew it. And he got his dad so enthused that when he got back, they went out and my son promptly lost Garrett's rocket. They shot it up. But then they went out and bought a bunch more rocket kits, and he had a birthday party at his house with the rocket. So that was a fun session. One that I wish they would bring back. I think everybody would enjoy. And the lanyards got just a little bit fancier. So, and then the next year, this is Garrett's fourth year, we majored in, it's called electrical engineering. And I never understood that except it was an electrical engineer professor. And this was a favorite session. And it was where they cut the styrofoam little pieces and made boats with a little 9-volt battery. And at the time, the kids did have a swimming pool, and they promptly came home and put the boat in the swimming pool. But that's a lot of fun. And a little side note on that one, I remember it. We had to cut with one of those X-Acto knives, the styrofoam. I cut myself 3 times. Oh. I was the only person from the students and the adults that cut their finger, and I did it 3 times. But he really enjoyed that class also. And that was a fun one. And that's another session I wish that would come back because everybody loved that. And then his last session, now nothing against the professor or anything else, he wanted the aeronautics. And that's your last session, but they only take like 8 people in aeronautics, and he wasn't one drawn. So he was put into a session called Making Watches. And it was from a professor, and nothing against him or anything else, but he was from the OOHRP Tech. And it wasn't we had a good time and he learned, but it wasn't probably one of his favorite sessions. And I think that was the only time they had it, but that was the Making Watches. But we really did want the aeronautic where he could get up and fly in the plane. Mm-hmm. But sometimes things don't work out. So that was my fight.
I'm going to interrupt here. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that how you select the major changed along the way?
I'm sorry. What
did you? How you how you rank which major that you want?
I had them look and rank it. I mean,
was it always online?
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Yes, it would be online, and then we also at first I think it was all mailed to us. It wasn't online, and they got a copy too. And then I had them rank them. And I think, except for Garrett on that last one, everybody got what they had put as first. Oh, we were very, very fortunate. Mm-hmm. And and I would kind of talk to them about the different ones. And I did encourage all of them to do the insects because it's just hands-on and was so much fun and to do that. So mm-hmm. I would put some input in, but it was mainly their decision of what they wanted. I didn't really encourage the ones that were doing all the running and walkings and stuff like that because it's hot up there that time of year, yes, it can be, and it usually was. Uh-huh. And Garrett really liked. He's quiet, and he liked the time back at the dorms because he always had his. It wasn't switched then, whatever they played with then. And everybody would be gathering around him, and then they played the pool, and they'd do all of that sort of stuff. And he really did enjoy the camaraderie with the other kids during that time because mm-hmm. he's just a quiet young man. So mm-hmm. anyway, but it was fun to do that. Yeah. So then we started a new era, and Charlie could hardly wait. And that's my grandson by my youngest son and his wife. And it's Charlie, and he went in 2016, and I'd forgotten the classes. I called him last night, and he told me all the classes. So his first one was plants, botany, he said, and plants, and they made these planters and that sort of stuff. And that was in 2000 and what year? You see the year on it? 2016. And I mean, he was hooked. He was a little social butterfly. Everybody, he would sit with the kids at lunch and have everybody coming and sitting with him and everything. He could hardly wait for the next year. So, and that was botany, and that was fun. Most of them are, and that's one thing, Karen, that I would tell people. I say, yep, they go and they have a really good time. They meet a lot of kids from all over the state. And there's all kinds of things, like the scavenger hunt and that thing to do. But they actually come out learning something. I mean, it's something that's pretty intense that they learn a lot about insects and architecture and all of that stuff. And I think that's what impresses me so much. And the very first session that I now know why a turtle goes across the road, if the turtles that go across the road are male. Because the females stay put where they are, and the males are off looking for things, and they're the one. I never will forget learning that. And then we had the equestrian girls and that did a session for us, and we went there. So you don't just stay put on the campus. You go all over the place for the different session, whether it's the garden center or the insects where the lab for that is. So that's always fun. And then Charlie, the next year we went, I'd forgotten this, but we went in 2017, and I love the different themes. Mm-hmm. And he majored in PE. And that, I didn't know what in the world we were getting into, but he designed a game, and it was really fun, I was really impressed with him because all the kids were participating in it, and he designed a game that he wanted them to do, and it worked out really good. And in 2017, we skipped 2018. My husband had been ill, and we got back home, and I just wasn't able to leave. So we skipped much. Oh, Charlie was so upset. He was so upset. And so we didn't go back until 2019. And Charlie on this one took the insects, and that was what do you call them? Superheroes and that sort of stuff. Uh-huh. But this was the only one that didn't really have the picture. They had the advertisements on it. But the front was so cute. Uh-huh. And he did the insects. And it said, oh, I know, and I've got pictures of it, and he was talking about it last night. He ate the bug. Oh. The mealworms that they cook and do all that at the very end. And at first he was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to. Oh, after that, and I've got pictures with him with the spider hat lady. And he is so proud of himself. And I've got videos of him eating those mealworms. And he was talking about it last night. So then the next year was COVID, and they didn't have a session. And the next year we went, and that was the one where they really downsized the number of classes and the number of people going. And so my youngest granddaughter was able to go then, and Charlie. And I talked them into going together because I was afraid they wouldn't be getting into a session. And I didn't want one to get into a session and the other one. So they chose a session together, and they chose, actually, it was because of Karen talking about the OSU Extension session. And I worked 19 years at OSU Extension. I thought, well, what are they going to teach? And I had never encouraged it. Ended up being one of the best sessions we went to. They made jam. And in fact, they bought their mother for her birthday that cooker that made jam. Mm-hmm. They made the quilt barn quilt. Mm-hmm. They went out to the garden center and it ended up being a really fun session. Now, the one thing Vivi missed that she had gotten, we stayed in motels, mm-hmm. but of course they loved the swimming pool, mm-hmm. and at the motel that they could swim anytime. So that was the only time that I took both of them together. And then the next year, I took each one of them separately. I took Charlie and Vivi. I got 2 t-shirts from that year, 2022. And Charlie majored in forensics. He was real interested. And Vivi majored in World of Narnia. Narnia? Nano. I'm sorry, I still don't know what we learned. And the professors and the people in the class were delightful, but I really did not understand that class. But I went 2 different sessions that time, and which was fun because I always was sad when the sessions were over, and that's 2022. And so only reason, and this is the one that the guy came up and sang the I shouldn't say older gentleman, he was younger than I. They played the guitar, and he had Vivi come up, and she would participate on anything. And I have videos of her with him and that sort of stuff. And she had a ball because she'll volunteer. Sharfan's the first one up for anything, and so is Charlie. So anyway, they both got to go separate times. And this year I missed because my youngest son and his wife and Charlie and Vivi all went on a 3-week vacation exploring national parks. They went to about 8 of them, so they were gone for 3 weeks, and that was right during Grandparent University. So I was sad. I was really sad.
Oh. Okay, so tell me about what traditions have you developed when you go and take your grandkids? Like the first day when you get there, do you have certain things that you do? There's some free time on that first day, and what's that like for you?
Well, the first years we went, and I liked this very much, except one time it rained the entire, oh boy, did it rain, so we had everything inside. But we'd go out and we'd have a picnic out on the campus near the Theta Pond, and they'd have sandwiches. And I remember I have video of Charlie doing a hula hoop, which he had never, not Charlie, Garrett, doing a hula hoop, which he had never done before. And that was kind of fun. Garrett wasn't one that would reach out to other people. Katie was meeting everybody, and Sydney and Maddie, kind of. And it was kind of an icebreaker. And they did that for, I think, about 5 years that we went. And then after that, it was just all our free time, that wherever we wanted to go. And so that I know one year they had the trampoline, and we always went to the Colvin Center. And one time it was raining and we couldn't go. And I think it was Charlie. He was so disappointed that on the last day before we left, they opened it up. So we didn't immediately leave Grandparent University. We went to the Colvin Center so they could swim. But they loved the Colvin Center because they had never been in that with going around. And then, of course, Eskimo Joe's was usually the dinner night. And I even had dinner out one night with Karen and Pam and their not your grandkids, but Pam's grandkid. And so it was kind of a fun time, just breaking the ice and seeing the campus and that sort of stuff. And we did actually, with Katie, my oldest, go into the library. She wanted to go visit the library. I never got her out of it, but we did go in. And then I always enjoyed the morning session on the first full day before our classes, and because they were very enlightening about what they taught you and that sort of thing. And I enjoyed that. So those were kind of just named traditions, Eskimo Joe's and Colvin Center, that you didn't miss if you could keep from it. And then they had that one interactive museum for kids, hands-on, with a little grocery.
Yeah, the Wondertorium.
Yes. Vivi and Charlie got to participate in that, and they both enjoyed that very much. My older ones didn't have that because there were other things that we were doing. So anyway, that's kind of a normal thing. And then I would see people that I had known before, and and kind of catch up a little bit about where they were. In fact, my former boss, Jan Montgomery, and I'll say her name, and very well known through Cooperative Extension Service and OSU, she was there. And she had retired, and I looked down and I thought, my gosh, that's Jan Montgomery. And it was so great touching base with her and catching up on her. And she was there with her grandchild. And the only time she'd ever gone. And she really enjoyed it.
Did the parents come to graduation ever that you remember?
Yes. Keiko, Todd, none of my sons, but Keiko, one of my granddaughters, my daughter-in-law's Keiko, she came, I think, twice. Other than that, no.
It's
but
hard.
It is to drive over and all that sort of stuff. But I think that's the only time Keiko came and saw them.
So outside of the class sessions, there are other scheduled activities. On Wednesday, of course, they have the free time, and then they have the painting in the evening.
We never did that.
Never did the painting?
No, I've already decided though that next year, if everything works out like it, hopefully it will, I'll be taking Vivi because Charlie's aged out. That we're going to do the painting, but no, they never really. I asked them if they'd want to do it. Now they did do one time. There was a function there at might have been the library. No, the art museum, that they had the art display, and then they had Legos and different things. And Charlie loved that because he loved Legos. And I know I was building that, but as far as the painting, we never participated in that. We always just went to Eskimo Joe's, and then they were ready to go back to the dorms and play, and get around, play pool and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Then on Thursday, the group photo. The big group photo on the lawn. What do you remember about that?
Just that we did it every time, and it was so funny that the first time that Charlie went, they had the big group photo from a couple of years before. And it was a picture with me and Garrett in it, and Charlie found us. And I have a picture of Charlie pointing out me and Garrett at a group photo a couple of years before. So yeah, it was fun trying to get in and getting posed and pistols firing and the happy faces and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you buy those group photos?
Oh. I didn't. Should have probably.
And then on Thursday night, then after the opening session on Thursday, there's lunch, and then there's 2 class sessions on Thursday afternoon.
Yes, right. Yes, you had the break in between it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then they have, I think they usually call it a pep rally on Thursday evening.
Tailgate party.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's when Pistol Pete comes and the athletes and that sort of stuff. And usually the basketball players, because they are having summer sessions, I guess. Very few football players, and the cheerleaders were there. And I know that I think, all of them did with, some of the players, they took the pictures with them. They had them sign their shirts. And one year we bought a football, and the players signed the football, and which was really fun because Charlie goes with his dad to a lot of the Thunder games. And there's been some players that they were having pictures, there. I can't think of his name right now. He just got renewed a contract. But anyway, it was fun to go to the Thunder basketball games. That I got a picture with him there. And then Big Country's son was playing, and they had pictures with him. Anyway, that was always fun. They look forward to that.
And then Friday is the last class session, and then graduation. What stands out to you about that?
Long. And at that time, a lot of them in the last couple of years, no. But the other years, I had a 3.5-hour drive to go back home. And so, but they wanted to stay till the very end of the last, and our last names, well, no, we didn't go by that. We went by classes and everything. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the sessions were, anyway, we did it and we enjoyed it. And they loved to have, sometimes they'd display the things that they had made, like the architecture things. And sometimes I think we had the plans that they had made, and they liked for other people to see what they had done on that. So, and it was just sad, especially Charlie telling everybody bye that he had met during the time and wanting to sit with them. A lot of times they wouldn't sit with me. They wanted to go sit with their friends, which was fine.
Talk about staying in the dorms on campus.
The first years that we went, when we stayed at Jones and I forgot the other one's name, that were side by side, I liked that the best of all. But there were a lot fewer kids that were there. I mean, it has grown so much, and you seem so much further away. But that's how things happen with that growth. But the first few years, I liked that experience more, where everybody was more in a group right there, instead of way across campus and things like that. But the kids like the dorm and that sort of stuff, and the time to be together, and the ping pong table. Yeah, there was ping pong tables and pool and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did they always have buses for transportation?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever walk and not take the bus, or?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. My little Miss Vivi said, "Oh Nina, we can walk," and it was like 100. I don't know how hot it was, but I do know it was hot. And that's when we were staying in one of the dorms, and we were cutting corners and that sort of stuff. She said, "I don't want to wait for the bus. I want us to walk," and we did. And then one time I did want to walk, and Garrett didn't. He wanted to stay with his buddies, and he wanted to wait for the bus. And that's the only time I ever saw Gary kind of aggravated because he's so low key. But no, the bus was great, and how they name them and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that help you get on the buses and get you organized, I'm real impressed
Mm-hmm.
with all that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very well organized, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And the tailgate party, with the hideaway pizza and Pete and everybody.
Did your grandkids enjoy the food at all the different food?
Oh, you mean at just regular food? Yes,
all
very
the
much.
meals.
Yeah. As I said, back again, they really liked that one where we were at Jones and everything. But on the other further campus, they did have that dining room. But yeah, they had no complaints with the food, the breakfast and everything. Ate well and enjoyed it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How has the cost to participate changed over the years?
Don't know. It's still reasonable. I mean, I don't know how much. It seems like maybe the first year was like $300 for the whole session for 2. Now it's $500.
Mm-hmm.
I have forgotten how much it was.
Mm-hmm.
You get your money's worth. I mean, and things do go up.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely now when we stayed in the motel, we were responsible for our own motel bill.
Mm-hmm.
I think they got us a discount or something like that. And that was fine because it was what it had to be. It was right after COVID and that sort of stuff. And it was fun. And the kids did love the swimming pool down there. And I could sit there and watch them from my room down there, and seeing them. So yeah, it was different. But, a lot of times things are different and it's not bad.
So currently, Grandparent University allows kids ages 7 to 13 to participate. It sounded like your early years, that age range might have been a little different.
Yes, Katie, like I said, it was 8 to 14 and I was 7 to 13. I did really fine with the kids, and because they didn't change for about 3 years after Gary. I guess it's about 5 years that you were losing them at 14. Now I kind of thought sometimes 7 was a little young, that they really didn't know what was going on. They were extremely young. Of course, they couldn't take certain classes. So I don't know what the answer is to it. I could see the older ones being bored and didn't want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can also see the 7 years old are so excited, but they haven't a clue that's going on. But Vivi was 7 when she went, so she had a ball.
Okay, you mentioned when we were going through this, some of the majors that they used to have that they don't have anymore. I think you said aviation was one, and
rocketry and electrical engineering. The boat, electrical engineering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I wish they'd bring those back. In fact, I've kind of had a little trouble what the kids wanted to take, picking a subject. And if it hadn't been for you, Karen, I would not have picked OSU Extension, and it ended up being one. I'm so embarrassed about that. But anyway, and it ended up being one of the fun. And then there was some other nutrition one that I had worked with, Dr. Barbara Brown, when I was in Extension. She was one of the state specialists that used to come to my county and work. And she did some sessions. And believe it or not, I don't think I ever did do one with her because I had little boys that didn't really want that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard, and I don't envy the people planning this, trying to get, and it's growing, and they've got to have that many more sessions that's going to interest people.
Mm-hmm.
So as I said, said, Vivi, I didn't understand what was we say
The nano.
the nano. I didn't understand it. The other people in the class just thought, and I did like the people that were teaching it. That's what's interesting, But I didn't understand it. But that's what Vivi wanted to take, and that's what we did. So anyway, that's fine.
What are some of the other changes that you have noticed over the years?
Well, mainly, the number of people, good, bad, or not. Just the number of people and the number of majors and the things like that. It was more intimate when there were fewer. I do think. You really kind of got to know the different people. I wish they'd bring back the scavenger hunt outside. They had a scavenger hunt. Well, they kind of have it's not pushed as much when you walk around, but sometimes it's hot outside when you're looking for the different things on the campus and that sort of stuff. And that's fun. And then I always liked the kids loved going around to the different tables, finding somebody, what state they're from, and all that sort of stuff. That gets kids not just sitting down at a table waiting for the food to come. They're just wandering around and going up to people and asking things. And I like that too.
That is fun.
It is.
So what motivates you to keep participating?
Grandchildren. I was praying and hoping, as you get older, you never really know, how much longer you're going to be able to do things, that I would get all 6 of them going. And I hope and pray that Vivi's got 3 more years, and if she's not traveling somewhere with her parents, that we will go 3 more years. That'll keep me going. So I'm not sure of how I'll be motivated and moving.
What do you think are the benefits for grandkids to go?
I'd like to say to encourage them to go to OSU, but for my first 3, it didn't do that. But I think just going and being with the grandparent and getting to know the grandparent, and the grandparent getting to know the grandchild so much. I have a good relationship with all 6 of them. And I'm Nina. And so, yeah, it's just fun being with them one-on-one. And I enjoy that.
From your perspective as how many years were you in Extension?
19.
19.
Well, 19, and I retired in 2003 as county director and educator. Went back half-time because husband retired. Anyway, went back half-time for 3 years, retired in 2007, a rural development specialist. And so 19 years plus half-time, 3 years. It's a long time.
It is. So from your perspective, what should faculty know about teaching for Grandparent University? What do you think faculty should keep in mind if they're on the fence about doing this?
Okay.
Yeah. What kind of things do you think that you would tell them?
Don't teach over their head, but do challenge them, but don't be stuffy. Enjoy the kids for kids, and because they want to raise their hands and answer questions and that sort of incorporate them into what you're teaching and that sort of stuff, and get them active doing things. They don't want to sit there and be lectured to. Period. I don't want to sit there and be lectured to. And so far, most of it's that way. I mean, they really do involve the kids in doing things, or have something for them to make and take with them when they leave. And that's another thing I like. They get to take home something that they have learned while they were at Grandparent and take back to their parents and show them. I think that's kind of neat. The insect collection, my kids for a long time, I don't know that any of them have it now, but they really come home with a neat box of insects that they have caught put with the pins and all that sort of stuff. And I've always thought that was fun. And then Gary had his little building that he made at the school, I think, in architecture and that sort of stuff. So, and then they in that botany class, when they had their planner that they had made, and they could put the little gnomes and things, little stuff. That was fun to take home and show them all. And the big barn quilt. That was and the jars of jelly that they got to take home. So there's something hands that they've made that they get to take home with them.
What do you think the Alumni Association should keep in mind about Grandparent University?
To keep it going. I mean, I worried at one time that, okay, it's run its gamut, but it hasn't, because I've never been turned down. But I understand that they have sometimes more applicants that they have room for. So I just hope it will continue, because I think it's a wonderful program. And I mean, a lot of these kids are coming from California, all over the United States to be with their grandparents, and they know nothing about Oklahoma State University. And so I think it's kind of nice, because we have a beautiful campus up there. Besides, it's an A1 university too. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, to keep it going and keep encouraging it, and tell those people that work at the OSU alumni, thank you. They do a great job.
Is there anything else that stands out to you about the different majors, any experiences that you had over the years? You were telling me about a storm one year.
Well, yeah. Actually, my husband had called me and said, Patty, there's a major storm on radar that it looks like it's going to hit you all. And I said, okay, and we were at the insect building, for lack of a better word, lab, I guess it was. And we had been going outside catching insects and that far, and taking that little test that she had always give every year. And all at once, we could feel hailstones on our building. And this, I don't know, Karen, isn't that about 10 miles, 8 to 10 miles outside the campus where the building is? It's outside of campus near the garden center. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's where it was. And so the guy that was helping with the classes and everything kept going outside and bringing in these hailstones. And I was sitting there thinking, and my car is parked out there in the parking lot in front of Jones' building. And so I thought, okay, that's a long ways off, and it usually hails just this one area. So, I mean, he was bringing in big hailstones. So anyway, we drove back, and I was very much anxious because my car was new, seeing what had happened there. And I could see a few little dents on some cars as we were driving. And so we got parked, and I thought, well, okay, maybe my car is just fine. And so Katie, it was the first year we went, Katie and I were walking down the sidewalk, and I could see this little boy pointing to something in front of him. I thought, that's about where my car is. And so we walked on down. And I'm not kidding. The hailstone had to be about a baseball size in my windshield. Fortunately, it went right in, and there was an indentation, and it was just all spread out around it. That did not go all the way through, and it was on the passenger side. So there were some blessings in it. But yes, that thing that stand out, I thought, oh, why didn't I drive? I had warning. Why didn't I drive over to the hotel and park underground and then walk over? I didn't. And it was fine. I mean, I was able to drive the car to Tulsa to the dealership and have the windshield replaced on my way home. But it could have gone all the way through, and I don't know what I'd have done then. We'd have worked it out. But that did stand out on me.
Mm-hmm. That would.
After that, I looked for underground parking and how close it was in case we had a storm, because I was going there.
Do any other experiences stand out over the years?
Well, I did run into, and I won't say her name because a lot of people would know it. It was one of the my son's fraternities, that she was her son was the same age as Matt, and we touched base again. We had awfully good times at whenever you had the parent come up on fraternity day. It was fun catching up with her every year and seeing her, and just maybe running into people you had seen the year before. I remember you. Anyway, yeah, just little things like that.
Do you think your experience of going was different because you went to college at OSU and you were in extension and you had connections and knew people? And
yeah, I did. The first time, now I had been working for OSU Extension, and I had graduated in 1963, and we went back for maybe, my husband graduated Tulsa University, so we went to their functions. So after 1963, I probably had not visited that campus, maybe once, twice. Then I did start working for OSU Cooperative Extension, and we had meetings there. And I never will forget thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to go back and it's going to look so different, and it's going to be depressing. And I remember going, and the first thing I did is go to the student union and get out on the balcony. And I lived in Murray Hall at the corner of University and Monroe. And I stood out on the balcony looking out that way and looked over to my right and seeing the library, looking over to my left and seeing the Sigmund Newhouse where my husband was. Anyway, and then seeing Theta Pond. And I have never had more heartwarming feeling in my life. It's like, it hasn't changed. It really hasn't changed. This is how I remember it. It almost brought tears to my eyes. And it's always with fun to bring the grandkids up and say, okay, I lived in that dorm right there. I lived in that room right up there, and taking them around, and we walking around Theta Pond. And it would bring back memories for me too. And then see, and tell them, I said, this is one of the prettiest campus ever. Period. I'm sorry. And I think having gone there, it brought back I had wonderful memories of my years at OSU. Wouldn't trade anything for anything. So yeah, I think being there that I had been a part of was important at Grandparent University.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there anything that I haven't asked that you would like to share?
You know me. You've known me for a long time. I talk. I think I covered it. I mean, I just said I've loved it. I want to hopefully go 3 more times. And somebody, I don't think it was you, somebody said, are you going to miss this? Oh, Susan Hammond, I think. Anyway, when this is over, and I said, I know I'll feel melancholy, but I said, I guess if I feel too melancholy, after that, the people that no longer have grandchildren can come up and assist getting the kids on the buses. Whether I will do that or not, but I might, you know, and just volunteer and say, hey, I'd like to come up there and be part of that. So we'll just see.
Yeah, there are a number of volunteers that help with those things.
I recognize them. It's been kind of fun, you know, at the opening session, I think it is. They always have somebody, how many years you've come.
Yes.
And the last time somebody, you've been here that many. Yeah. So I said 12 years, but actually 13 sessions.
13 sessions.
Now I've got to go another year and get past that 13.
You do. You do. Well, hopefully we might be at the same session next year again.
You're another plus, getting to, you know, catch base there. Which session are you going to, and are we going to be at the same session?
Yeah.
So I was sorry.
Yeah, that's always fun to check in before we get there.
Well, I've got pictures on my phone of you and your grandchildren with mine.
Yeah, it's really fun. Well, I appreciate our time together today and getting your story about all of your experiences. I may want to take pictures of your shirts before I leave, but we don't have anything else, then I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.